All right, so get ready, because we're going to deep dive into something that might just reshape how you think about, well, everything. We're tackling a YouTube video that breaks down a book.
Okay.
It's audaciously titled Death Does Not Exist.
Yeah.
Bold claim, right?
It is, and what makes it even more intriguing is this isn't some internet theory crafted in someone's basement.
Right.
The video we're looking at comes from Mr. and Mrs. Gao.
Okay.
And they're dissecting the work of a real scientific heavyweight, Tamaoki Hiroshi.
Yeah, Hiroshi is not someone you can easily dismiss.
Nope.
We're talking Tokyo University,
Yeah.
high-level research, advising the Japanese government.
Right.
This guy's got serious credibility.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
His journey into this death doesn't exist idea wasn't just academic.
Right.
Hiroshi had a brush with death himself due to a serious illness.
Oh, wow.
That experience completely shifted his perspective,
I see.
leading him down this path of using science,
Specifically quantum mechanics, to explore what happens after we die.
Okay, so before we get into the quantum stuff,
Yeah.
the video lays out the three main perspectives on death that most people fall into.
Right.
There's the scientific view,
Yeah.
the theological view, and then what they call the near-death experience, or NDE view.
Right.
So,
The scientific view is pretty cut and dry.
yeah.
When the brain and heart stop, consciousness stops. That's it.
Right.
No evidence of anything continuing on.
Right.
Then you've got the theological perspective,
Yeah.
which is all about the soul surviving.
Right.
It goes to heaven, hell, maybe gets reincarnated.
Right.
But this is based on faith, not scientific proof.
And then you've got these NDEs,
Yes.
which kind of throw a wrench in things.
Yeah.
People who were clinically dead,
Right.
then revived,
Okay.
and they come back with these wild stories.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing a light, feeling out of their body,
Yeah.
even meeting deceased loved ones, right? And those experiences are hard to explain scientifically,
I bet.
which is why some folks see them as supporting the theological view.
Uh-huh.
But then Hiroshi comes in and drops this quantum bomb on us.
Okay, hit me with it.
His central idea is that everything is energy at its core.
Okay.
He points to Einstein's EMC2 to show how matter and energy are essentially interchangeable.
So our bodies are matter,
Right.
but they're also energy. And what about our consciousness? Where does that fit in?
Hiroshi argues that consciousness is a form of energy too,
Okay.
specifically information.
Right.
Think about it. Your memories, your thoughts, your experiences, that's all information.
Right? Okay, I'm following so far.
Good.
So if everything is energy,
Yes.
what happens to that energy when we die?
That's where the concept of the zero-point field enters the picture.
Okay.
You see, even a perfect vacuum, completely empty space,
Yeah.
actually has a baseline energy level. It's called zero-point energy.
Hold on, you're telling me that empty space isn't actually empty?
Exactly.
Wow.
And here's where it gets mind-blowing.
Okay.
Physicist John Wheeler calculated that a single cubic centimeter of this empty space contains more energy than all the observable matter in the entire universe.
Whoa, that's insane.
No, right.
So how does this zero-point energy relate to this zero-point field thing?
The zero-point field is this field permeating all of space and time.
Okay.
And get this, it's theorized to contain information about everything that has ever happened and everything that will ever happen.
Wait, so it's like some kind of cosmic library?
Yeah.
Everything that ever was and ever will be is stored in this field.
That's the idea.
Oh, wow.
Think of it like a blueprint for every possible reality.
Okay.
Now imagine if our consciousness, that energy information we talk about,
Right.
didn't just disappear when our bodies die.
Okay.
What if it joined this zero-point field?
Okay, I see where you're going with this. But how does that explain those near-death experiences people talk about?
Hiroshi theorizes that when the body dies,
Yeah.
consciousness doesn't immediately vanish.
Uh-huh.
It lingers briefly as a separate energy form,
Hmm.
kind of like a residual echo.
So those near-death experiences, those glimpses of light feelings of peace, maybe that's this lingering consciousness energy before it merges with the zero-point field.
Precisely.
That makes sense.
And Hiroshi goes even further.
Okay.
He says there are no negative emotions after physical death.
Really?
It's pure bliss, a state of total peace,
Wow.
like the Buddhist concept of nirvana.
No fear, no pain, just pure tranquility.
That's what he's proposing.
Wow.
So where does this consciousness energy go from there?
Right. Where does it go?
Hiroshi believes it merges with the zero-point field, but not as some vague, formless blob.
Okay.
It exists as a 3D holographic projection.
Wow.
Not a flat image, but a full three-dimensional form.
That's incredible.
It is wild, isn't it?
But if we're all ending up as projections in this zero-point field,
Right.
does that mean we can encounter others who are already there?
That's one of the things he suggests.
Like, could we see our loved ones who have passed away?
That's one of the most fascinating implications of Hiroshi's theory.
Wow.
He says those encounters with deceased loved ones, even pets,
Yeah.
could be explained by this very concept.
Okay.
They exist as projections within the zero-point field.
Right.
And under certain circumstances, our consciousness might be able to perceive and interact with them.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
I know, right?
This is heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
how does this zero-point field thing line up with what we know about science?
Sure.
Isn't this all a bit, well, out there?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that we're dealing with a hypothesis here,
Right.
not a proven fact.
Okay.
But what makes this so compelling is that it's rooted in quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
A field of science that's full of mind-bending concepts that challenge our everyday understanding of reality.
So you're saying that this zero-point field idea, while radical, isn't completely out of the realm of scientific possibility?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what's even more intriguing is how Hiroshi, a scientist with a solid background in physics and engineering, arrived at these ideas through his own scientific exploration.
Right.
It really makes you wonder about the limits of what we currently understand about the universe and our place within it.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
Let's take a moment to process this before we dive deeper.
Okay.
We've got this idea that consciousness might be a form of energy information that joins this vast universe spanning zero-point field when we die, potentially existing as a 3D holographic projection.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, this could explain those near-death experiences and even encounters with deceased loved ones.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
But we still got a ton of questions.
Yes, we do.
Like, what are the implications of this for our understanding of life and death?
Yeah.
And if this zero-point field contains everything that ever was and will be, how does that affect free will?
Right.
Buckle up, listeners, because we're just getting started.
This is just the beginning.
All right, so we've established that this zero-point field idea is pretty radical.
Yeah.
But it's got some intriguing possibilities.
Definitely.
One thing I'm wrestling with is if our consciousness merges with this field, this ocean of information, does that mean we lose our individual identity? Like, do we all become one big cosmic soup?
That's a question that Hiroshi's theory doesn't explicitly answer.
Okay.
He focuses more on the idea that consciousness persists, not necessarily as a separate, distinct entity in the way we think of it now.
So it's less about me and more about being part of this larger interconnected web of consciousness.
That seems to be the implication.
Okay.
And remember how we talked about the zero-point field containing information from all of time?
Right, past, present, and future.
Yeah, if that's the case, the whole concept of linear time might not apply in the same way within the field.
Okay, so our individual sense of self, our perception of time, those might be bound to our physical existence in this reality.
Yeah.
But once we're in the zero-point field, it could be a completely different experience.
Exactly.
Wow.
And think about those cases of young children who claim to remember past lives.
Right.
Could they be accessing memories from the zero-point field? If time isn't linear there, those memories might be experienced as their own.
That's wild.
It is pretty wild.
It's like we're dipping our toes into a whole new understanding of what consciousness even is.
Yeah.
But if this field contains information about everything, wouldn't that include all the bad stuff too?
That's a good point.
All the pain, suffering, and negativity that's ever existed.
It's a valid point, and it's interesting that Hiroshi doesn't really address that directly.
Yeah.
His focus is on the positive aspects.
Right.
This idea of blissful existence and access to unlimited knowledge.
I guess it's kind of like focusing on the beauty of a vast ocean without getting hung up on the fact that it also contains some pretty scary creatures.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But yet it does highlight that we still have so much to learn about how consciousness might interact with this hypothetical zero-point field.
All right, let's say for a moment that Hiroshi is on to something here.
Okay.
What would it be like to consciously access this zero-point field?
Right.
Would we suddenly become all-knowing, able to see past, present, and future?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But Hiroshi suggests it might be more about intuitive knowing than a sudden information download.
Like a heightened sense of intuition?
Yeah.
Or maybe those aha moments where a solution just pops into your head.
Exactly. He talks about how geniuses, or people with psychic abilities, might have a natural knack for tapping into this field.
Interesting.
But he also believes we can cultivate this connection through practices like meditation and focusing our intentions.
So it's not like we'd become walking encyclopedias.
Right.
But we could access a deeper level of understanding.
Yeah.
Tap into a source of wisdom beyond our conscious mind.
That seems to be the core idea.
Okay.
And it echoes what many spiritual traditions have been saying for centuries.
Right.
The power of the mind to connect with a higher realm of consciousness.
This is all so mind-boggling.
I know it's a lot to take in.
But it does make you wonder about the true nature of consciousness and its potential beyond our physical bodies.
It's fascinating how Hiroshi, coming from a scientific background, arrives at these ideas that bridge the gap between science and spirituality.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It suggests that maybe they're not as separate as we tend to think.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
All right.
If this zero-point field is all about information and energy,
couldn't it be vulnerable?
Hmm.
Like, what's stopping some kind of cosmic hacker from messing with it?
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Hiroshi doesn't specifically address that.
Right.
But it raises questions about the security of this hypothetical field.
Yeah.
If it holds all this information, including our consciousness, there's got to be some kind of safeguard, right?
Maybe it's a self-regulating system.
Could be.
Like the internet with its built-in redundancy and security protocols.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want some rogue AI messing with our afterlife.
Hopefully not.
So where does this leave us?
Good question.
We've explored this mind-bending theory that death might not be the end.
Yeah.
That our consciousness could persist in this zero-point field,
Right.
potentially existing as a 3D holographic projection.
It's a fascinating idea.
But it's still a hypothesis.
Right.
And we're left with a lot of unanswered questions.
What's important is that Hiroshi's work opens up new avenues for discussion about consciousness and what happens after death.
It encourages us to question our assumptions and to consider alternative perspectives.
It reminds us that we're still at the very beginning of understanding the universe and our place in it.
And maybe as science continues to evolve, we'll gain a clearer picture of consciousness and whether it truly exists beyond the physical realm.
You're saying we might actually get scientific proof of an afterlife.
It's a possibility worth considering.
Wow.
But for now, the real value in Hiroshi's work is that it invites us to question our own beliefs about death and to entertain the possibility that our consciousness is part of something much greater and more enduring than we can currently imagine.
That's a pretty profound thought to leave our listeners with.
It is profound.
But before we wrap up, I have one more burning question.
Okay, shoot.
If we can potentially influence the future with our thoughts and intentions,
Right.
as Hiroshi suggests, doesn't that create a paradox?
How so?
I mean, if the future is already encoded in the zero-point field, how can we change it?
Right.
Does that mean free will is just an illusion?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's one that philosophers and physicists have been wrestling with for centuries.
It's a tough one.
Hiroshi's theory seems to suggest that maybe both determinism and free will can coexist.
Whoa, that's a mind bender.
I know, it's a tricky concept.
So you're saying the future might be predetermined to some extent,
Yeah.
but we still have the ability to make choices that influence the outcome.
Think of it like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Okay.
The zero-point field might contain all the possible paths, but our choices, our intentions determine which path we actually experience.
So it's not like we're just blindly stumbling along a predetermined path.
No.
We're actively shaping our own experience within this field of possibility.
That's the idea.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is that Hiroshi suggests our thoughts and intentions play a role in this.
Right.
He touches on the law of attraction,
Yeah.
this idea that our thoughts and beliefs can influence our reality.
Wait, so you're saying our thoughts can actually impact which possibilities manifest from the zero-point field?
He doesn't go quite that far,
Okay.
but he's suggesting there's a connection.
Like we can think our way to a better future.
It's a bit more nuanced than that,
Okay.
but the core concept is that our consciousness, our mental state,
Right.
might have a greater influence on reality than we realize.
Interesting.
He doesn't go as far as saying we can simply think things into existence,
Right.
but he suggests that our intentions can create a sort of resonance with certain possibilities within the zero-point field,
Okay.
making them more likely to materialize in our lives.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It's a pretty radical idea.
So it's not just about passively accepting whatever fate has in store for us.
No, not at all.
We can actively participate in shaping our reality by directing our thoughts and intentions.
It's empowering, isn't it?
It is.
It suggests that we have a degree of agency,
Yeah.
a power to co-create our reality in partnership with this vast field of potential.
So it's not about relinquishing control or surrendering to some predetermined destiny.
Right.
It's about aligning our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions with the reality we want to experience.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this brings us back to the importance of living with intention, of being mindful of our thoughts and actions.
Right.
Because they might have a far greater ripple effect than we realize.
It's a reminder that even if we can't fully grasp the complexities of the zero-point field or definitively say what happens after death, we can choose to approach life with a sense of purpose and wonder.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hiroshi's theory, whether proven or not,
Right.
opens our minds to the incredible possibilities that exist beyond our current understanding.
It encourages us to embrace curiosity,
Yes.
to question our assumptions, and to keep exploring the mysteries of the universe and our place within it.
And ultimately, that's what the deep dive is all about, right?
Yeah.
Diving deep into these fascinating ideas, expanding our perspectives and sparking those aha moments that make us see the world in a whole new light.
Exactly. And even if we don't come away with all the answers,
Right.
the journey itself is what makes it so rewarding.
Well said.
So for our listeners out there,
Yeah,
let this be an invitation to explore these concepts further.
definitely.
Don't just take our word for it.
No, do your own research.
Dive into the source material.
See where it leads you.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll look back at these early theories and marvel at how far we've come in understanding the true nature of consciousness and its journey beyond the limits of our current perception.
Yeah, that would be something.
Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Thanks for joining us on this mind-bending exploration.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive, where we'll be uncovering another fascinating corner of the universe and challenging everything you thought you knew. Okay, so we've got this potential future where we're all kind of hanging out in the zero-point field, maybe bumping into loved ones,
Okay.
accessing infinite knowledge.
Yeah.
But what about right now?
Good question.
If this field holds the blueprint for all possibilities, does that mean our lives here are already set in stone?
That's the heart of the free will versus determinism debate, right?
Yeah.
And it's a question that gets even more complex when you throw in the concept of a field containing all possible futures.
It does make you wonder, if everything is predetermined, what's the point of making choices?
Right.
Does any of it really matter?
Hiroshi seems to suggest that maybe it's not so black and white.
Okay.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
Imagine you're standing at the edge of a forest.
Uh-huh.
There are countless paths you could take,
Yeah.
winding through the trees,
Right.
leading to different destinations.
Okay.
The forest represents the zero-point field with all its potential possibilities laid out before you.
Okay. I can picture that.
Good.
So the paths are the different choices we could make in life.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's the key.
Yeah.
You get to choose which path you take.
Okay.
You have the free will to decide which direction to go in.
Right. Which choices to make. And those choices determine your unique journey through the forest.
So it's not like we're just blindly stumbling along a predetermined path. We're actively shaping our own experience within this field of possibilities.
That's the idea.
Okay, that makes sense.
And what's fascinating is that Hiroshi suggests our thoughts and intentions play a role in this.
Really?
He touches on the law of attraction.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
This idea that our thoughts and beliefs can influence our reality.
Wait, so you're saying our thoughts can actually impact which possibilities manifest from the zero-point field?
He doesn't go quite that far,
Oh,
but he's suggesting there's a connection.
like we can think our way to a better future.
It's a bit more nuanced than that.
Right, of course.
But the core concept is that our consciousness, our mental state, might have a greater influence on reality than we realize.
That's interesting.
He doesn't go as far as saying we can simply think things into existence.
But he suggests that our intentions can create a sort of resonance with certain possibilities within the zero-point field,
I see.
making them more likely to materialize in our lives.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is a pretty radical idea.
So it's not just about passively accepting whatever fate has in store for us.
Right.
We can actively participate in shaping our reality by directing our thoughts and intentions.
It's empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It suggests that we have a degree of agency, a power to co-create our reality in partnership with this vast field of potential.
So it's not about relinquishing control or surrendering to some predetermined destiny.
Right.
It's about aligning our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions with the reality we want to experience.
Exactly.
Wow.
And this brings us back to the importance of living with intention,
Right.
of being mindful of our thoughts and actions, because they might have a far greater ripple effect than we realize.
It's a reminder that even if we can't fully grasp the complexities of the zero-point field or definitively say what happens after death, we can choose to approach life with a sense of purpose and wonder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hiroshi's theory, whether proven or not, opens our minds to the incredible possibilities that exist beyond our current understanding.
Right.
It encourages us to embrace curiosity, to question our assumptions, and to keep exploring the mysteries of the universe and our place within it.
And ultimately, that's what the deep dive is all about, right?
Yeah.
Diving deep into these fascinating ideas, expanding our perspectives, and sparking those aha moments that make us see the world in a whole new light.
Exactly. And even if we don't come away with all the answers,
Right.
the journey itself is what makes it so rewarding.
Well said. So for our listeners out there, let this be an invitation to explore these concepts further. Don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Dive into the source material, do your own research, and see where it leads you. You might be surprised at what you discover.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll look back at these early theories and marvel at how far we've come in understanding the true nature of consciousness and its journey beyond the limits of our current perception.
It's amazing to think about all the things we don't know yet.
Absolutely. And until then, we can choose to live with a sense of awe and wonder, appreciating the incredible gift of life and the potential that lies within each of us to create a more meaningful and fulfilling existence.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you next time, where we'll be uncovering another fascinating corner of the universe and challenging everything you thought you knew.